Three lenses in this review are the smallest and most affordable Canon lenses. Which one of them is the right for you and why? That's what I'm going to try to help you with in this review. First of all, 24mm lens is compatible only with APS-C cameras, while 40 and 50mm can be used on full frame. That's why in this video I will compare these lenses only on crop sensor. For those of you who want to use 40 or 50mm on a full frame, I made another video where I tested these two lenses on full frame. You can find the link to that video in the description below this one. Build quality is quite solid on all three lenses. They have metal lens mount and body is built from solid plastic. In size, 24 and 40 are completely identical. If it wasn't written of them, I would have a really hard time determining which is which. 50mm is a bit bigger but not by much. It is around 1 cm taller while having the same diameter. None of these lenses is weather sealed, but from my experience they all can withstand shooting in light terrain without any issues. None of them is delivered with a lens hood, but you can buy it afterwards. If you find the original lens hood to be too expensive, you can get cheap ones on eBay that work just as good. 24 and 40mm lens accept 52mm filter, while 50mm lens has 49mm diameter. All three lenses extend a bit when focusing, but none of them has rotating front element, what is important for anyone who plans to use polarizing filter. In terms of weight, they are pretty similar. A few grams here or there will not matter to anyone. This is what you get in terms of field of view. 24mm lens will be great as universal walk-around lens, while 40 and 50 are better for taking images from a distance, getting a more compressed look or better subject and background separation. It is not obligatory, but the more you are into portraits, animals or like to take casual images without sticking the camera into someone's face, longer lenses are better, in this case 40 and 50mm. Pick 24mm for landscapes, to fit more people into single image in tight spaces, or to take images which generally have more context around the main subject. All three lenses have manual focus override. It means you will be able to adjust focus manually if you need after the camera has acquired autofocus. Since there is no mechanical link between focus ring and focusing elements, you will need to half press shutter button to engage manual focus. Autofocus speed is quite fast on all three of them as they use the same STM focusing system. For photography, ultrasonic is still a bit faster, but as you have just seen, this is also very good performance. In terms of focus accuracy, 24 and 40mm are really good on my Canon 80D, while 50mm can miss focus from time to time. It is important to point out that it has shallowest depth of field of all of them, so it is more sensitive for critical focus accuracy. For video, they seem to focus equally fast on average, but I can't not to think 40mm is slightly faster and more secure than the other two. In very quiet environments, built-in microphone might catch audio focus sound, but for good sound quality you should be using external microphone in the first place. Open the camera menu and take a look what automatic corrections are available in your model. In my case, ATD can correct vignetting, chromatic aberrations and geometry. If you shoot in JPEG format, it is probably best to enable all options to get rid of these optical imperfections already in the camera. If you shoot RAW, these settings do not apply and you will have to correct them in post-process. Mirror, mirror on the wall, which is the sharpest one of all? Well, that's easy. 24mm delivers highest resolution, quickly followed by 40mm pancake. 50mm lens appears visibly less sharp across all apertures. This is not a big surprise since 50mm lens is closely based on optics from 1990s, while both pancakes are brand new optical designs made with high-resolution digital sensors in mind. Corner performance is a bit different. 40mm lens is the best wide open and improve only slightly when stopped down. 24 and 50mm lenses are really bad on maximum aperture but improve visibly, especially the 50mm lens, which seems to be the sharpest of them all at f8. Sharpness is most important for landscape, so if you are into that, pick 24 or 40mm lenses. Don't let this stop you from buying 50mm lens, as it has other qualities I have yet to show you. All three lenses are perfectly aligned. Canon usually doesn't have problems with quality control, unlike some other brands. 24mm pancake is the best in this regard, there is no detectable focus shift. 40mm is almost focus shift free. I can see just a slight move around 5.6, but that will be irrelevant in real life. On the other hand, 50mm has a visible problem at 5.6 and f8. 40mm has the worst macro, 50mm is slightly better, while 24mm can get you really close. Still, none of these three lenses is a true macro, and if you are into that, I suggest getting a dedicated macro lens. When you combine macro performance with previously demonstrated focus shift, which will be mostly an issue on close-ups, it is clear that 24mm is the best option for anyone interested in taking images of small details. All three lenses suffer from strong focus breathing, which is not desirable for video recording. There's nothing anyone can do about it, so either accept it or buy something else. Lateral chromatic aberrations are most visible with 24mm lens. Still, they are not strong and easily removable. 40 and 50mm lenses show almost no sign of them. 24mm lens shows some longitudinal aberrations, but they clean up nicely as you close aperture. 40mm shows more of them, but they also almost disappear once you close down to 5.6 and beyond. 50mm is bad in this regard and needs to be stopped down all the way to f11. That's a shame, since this lens will often be used at large apertures to produce shallow depth of field. 24mm lens shows the strongest barrel distortion, but even that is not significant and can easily be removed in camera or in post-process. 40 and 50mm lenses are even better. Cama performance is relevant almost exclusively for astrophotography, but let's take a look nonetheless. 50mm would be clear choice since it has largest aperture, but sadly produces quite strong coma. It needs to be stopped down to f4 to get rid of it, so what's the point? 40mm lens is the best in this regard, giving the most round stars at f2.8, followed closely by the 24mm lens. At any given aperture, 50mm is the best one by far. 24 and 40 pancakes have visible vignetting wide open, but are better already at f4. They never get rid of it completely no matter how much you stop down aperture. This is typical for pancake lenses. Still, I need to point out none of this is a major issue and can easily be removed in camera or on computer. 24mm is okay at around f8. Some ghosting is visible, but nothing of importance. At f16, weird flare occurs. You can see it as rainbow lines in 7 groups around the sun. Since this lens has 7 aperture blades, there must be some sort of weird reflection happening inside this lens. 40mm lens performs better. Ghosts are minimal and there is no loss of contrast. 50mm shows the strongest ghosting, but even this is not very bad. At least there is no weird flare like 24mm has. So overall I would say 40mm is the best, followed by 50mm, and 24mm lens has the worst flare resistance. No matter how much I tried, I was never able to get a good Sunstar from 24mm pancake. It just isn't there. 40 and 50mm create beautiful Sunstar. When you combine Sunstar, sharpness and flare control, 40mm is the best choice for long exposure cityscapes. Autofocus highlights are rendered really nice on all three lenses. They are round and uniform without many artifacts inside them. They retain round shape toward corners with just 24mm lens showing a bit more distortion, but otherwise all three are just great in this regard. Overall, bokeh look is solid but not ideal on all lenses. When you have enough space between your subject and background, nice blur will be produced, but if there is something with sharp edges like branches, bokeh can become quite harsh. This is something you will have to live with, since better bokeh is reserved for quite more expensive lenses. Remember, we are still talking about lenses each of which is below $200. So which one to choose? I recommend 24mm pancake for almost anyone. It is the most versatile and great as walk-around lens for various subjects. Between 40 and 50mm it's a bit harder to decide, since they are close in focal length. 40mm offers a bit more in image quality department, but 50mm has larger aperture, which is great for low light and shallow depth of field. Personally, I think 24 and 50 combination might be the best for most users. 40mm is probably best for full frame, but more on that in different video. Ultimately, as all three lenses are very affordable, I think many users could just get all three of them, try them, decide which they like better and sell the other one or two. I have trouble letting go of good lenses, so I have kept all of them. That's all for this review. I hope I gave you usable information. If you have a question, feel free to ask me in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel, and if you want to support my work, you can do that on Patreon or buying stuff on Amazon using my affiliate links below the video. You will not pay any more than otherwise, but I will get a small percentage. Thanks for watching.